Hey guys, it is Jordy. I am so excited for today's guest. It's going to be an awesome discussion. I have with us the CEO of Ultravioletly Aligned. I think I got that right.
Yeah.
Jessica Love out of San Diego. She is a certified psychosynthesis life coach. She does a lot of work with women's empowerment. She's a yoga instructor, meditation. She does life coaching. And she is just an amazing woman who does so much great work for the military community. Her husband, Zachary, serves in the Navy. And she just has some really cool information. We were talking the other day, and she was telling me about the stuff that she does to help women. I said, I got to have you on my show so we could chat and you could give some good advice. So Jessica, thank you for taking some time to talk today. Appreciate it.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity. And I really appreciate it. And I love everything that you're doing for people in the military too. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So let's get into tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you end up in this field? What got you started? Did you always want to go down this path when you launched your career?
Yeah. So the answer is no. I originally went to school for journalism and media studies. I wanted to be a news reporter and an anchor and a journalist. And that was like the thing that I really wanted to do. And what I found was I was working on Long Island as a journalist, and I actually got into a really awful car accident. And I was running around back to back. I would commute an hour to college, an hour and a half to my job as a news reporter, an hour back to college, and an hour home. And my commute was just really wild. And I was in that hustle grind culture that is, promoted in our society today. The go, 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 don't stop, push through all the pain. And I know that comes up a lot in military culture too, right? Like needing to succeed. I was living in New York, and that was the goal, right? And in that moment when I had that car accident and I looked at my car, when I got out of the car, I realized I could have died. And I just felt the presence of something bigger than myself. For me, it's God. I know everybody has many different religions and spirituality practices, and I love that. Anything that is like positive is I'm here for. And I just had this moment where I realized there's more to life than hustling and grinding. And I realized too that the way that the field of journalism was moving, it just wasn't feeling good for me. I wasn't feeling like I was making a positive impact on the world. I felt like my job was kind of to get people in trouble and like bring them down and make a negative impact. So I went through my yoga teacher training. There were a couple things that happened in between, but I eventually went to my yoga teacher training. I moved to California. I started studying meditation and wellness and yoga. I eventually decided I wanted to be a life coach, and I got my certification at the Psychospiritual Institute. And I never looked back. So now I work as a spiritual life coach, and I also teach psychosynthesis to therapists and coaches, and I just love it. And
that's awesome. It's all sort of tied to like this bigger issue of mental health, right? And feeling good about yourself and all the dealing with all the stresses that life throws at every one of us. And first of all, I'm so glad you were okay from that car accident, man. That must have been traumatic. Was that when I saw you went to Adelphi? Was that when that? Oh my God, New York City traffic.
Yeah, it was wild. And, I learned so much, and I'm so thankful. Like the opportunities that I had at such a young age. I was working in newsrooms when I was 18.
Wow.
And it was such a blessing. But again, it's like mental health is so important, and we need it.
No doubt. So let's jump into some of these topics that I want to hear some of your advice for. I say for women. The advice you're going to share is for everybody. Even though your focus is women, everyone I think can benefit from this. So I know you put a lot of thought into helping people choose that right career path, and I know this is something that I think slows the growth of a lot of military veterans' careers is that you come out of service and you're not exactly sure what you want to do yet with this next chapter, and you just sort of be very reactive, and somebody's hiring and, oh, let me apply there, and I take that job, and you get hired. And there's a well-known stat of 48% of
Mm.
people in their first post-military job won't last the first year. They'll quit or get fired, and then by year two, it goes up to like 93% or something. That a study that Corn Ferry did. And if somebody can pick the right career path, I would think that would help them in the long run if you can do that soul searching ahead of time, right? So talk a little bit about some of your favorite tips, suggestions for how do you pick what you want to do.
Totally. Yeah, it's so saddening to heartbreaking for me to hear those statistics and for us to hear those statistics, right? And I think what happens is the military is such a structured, highly structured field, right? And when somebody gets out of the military, it can be hard because for as long as you were in the military for, you were just doing that job, most likely. Sometimes you switch, but usually you're doing the same job for 4 years, 6 years, 12 years, 25 years. And even if it's great and you love it and you love serving your country and it works out well, it's usually not the specific job you have that day is usually not what really lights your soul on fire, right? It's not like your overall passion. So I think the first step is getting confident that you have so many skills as somebody who just left the military that go beyond your job description. So you might get focused on, I'm trying to think of somebody like my partner who was a fire controlman and is really interested in getting to social media marketing. So he might think, oh well, I don't have any social media marketing skills because my day-to-day job is in social media marketing, but he has communication skills. He's communicating with many different people every single day, right? He's flexible, he's resilient from going on deployments and being like on call all the time, right? He can fix problems, he has leadership skills, so managerial skills. It is creative to find a solution in a hard time. So I
Yeah.
think step one for folks in the military is to think about like what are my skills beyond my job description that I've developed during my time here, right? And what is something that I really like? So, if it's art, if it's social media, if it's you want to be a history teacher, you love history, right? You're like me, you love wellness and yoga and meditation, maybe like a fit. I know a lot of people in the fitness industry that are veterans for some reason in San Diego,
Mhm.
right? I love fitness. So you take that thing you love and you combine it with that skill set, both the unseen skills that aren't on the resume and the seen skills, right? And that's how you can fuse it together to create a career.
Yeah.
Now, I'm partial to entrepreneurship because that's what I've been doing since I was 20 and I just love it. But you don't have to go that route either. If you want to be a fitness instructor, there's going to be millions of studios all over the world. That's such a popping industry right now where you can apply and you can work part time. So I think it's just giving yourself the freedom to do something that you really like and use your skill set. Take a small break, maybe like a week or something, but don't wait too long either after. Because if you wait too long after your time in the Navy, then you can start to kind of, the momentum can dissipate. Give yourself,
I love that advice. That is so
yeah,
spot on. And so many people don't do that. It's like we're brought up to like almost like lemmings jumping off of the cliff, like, oh, you gotta be a accountant or a doctor or a executive or what, and you just think like you have to apply to whatever jobs there are, but you can make a career in anything, anything. I've met people working, you know, with horses because they love the equestrian industry, or in video games because they love playing. There are industries behind all of these hobbies and interests that we have. You know,
totally.
but
Yeah, and I can just say briefly from personal experience, I make twice as much per year as a life coach and a yoga teacher than I did as a journalist.
wow,
Than what my degree was for, what the corporation
yeah,
needed. And that was for, I had just got an offer at CBS News in Manhattan, which is like a huge thing. And
yeah,
that
geez,
offer was half of the amount that I make.
what you're doing, and good for, and you're your own boss. You don't have to report to some knucklehead manager. It's like I love people who go their own path and just like you have no one to blame but yourself if things aren't going well. You know what I mean? It's like it's all in your control. And even if somebody has to have a permanent, a full-time job, like do a little side hustle, do something to see if to scratch that itch of maybe something that might be more appealing or might get you excited to get out of bed in the morning. Cause that's so much a part of this, right? Just feeling that passion or that fire every day to get after it, right?
Totally. And that leads me to maybe my last tip is like with career business, find somebody that's doing something you love and study them. Read
Yeah.
them like a book. If they have an Instagram,
Yeah.
you follow Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. If they post videos, watch them every single day, read
Yeah.
their books, listen to their podcast. For me, that was Oprah when I first started. Like she was a big inspiration for me. And I was just, fueling my mind all the time with
Yeah.
Oprah content. And it's like, just like yourself. Yeah, let yourself have that mentor. If it's
Yeah.
Tony Robbins, like inundate
Yeah.
yourself with Tony Robbins content for
Yeah.
a year.
And
You know?
what do you think of like informational interviews? We give that advice to a lot of veterans or transitioning service members to just go talk, similar to like what you're saying, study them, but have conversations, reach out to people doing something you think you might want to do and just ask them what they like, what they don't like.
I think it's a wonderful idea. And especially like I'm thinking, I know within your community, there's so many veterans that are also employers. And I
Yeah.
think that that's a great place to start. But it doesn't have to be a veteran either.
Right.
I think my advice for that is professionalism and authenticity.
Yeah.
So just say like, hey person, hi Lewis House. I love your work. I love your podcast. As a veteran, you really motivate and inspire me as a man on a personal development journey, whatever. I would love to buy you coffee sometime and just ask about what you do. Are you open to that? And what's the worst thing that happens? They don't respond.
And like, because I didn't serve, I'm a civilian, and
Mhm.
anytime throughout my career, if a veteran came up to me, even before I was doing this business, it's like, oh yeah, whatever I can do to help. Like you want, especially civilians, not all, but most of them want to give back and they want to do something, and it's not costing them a penny to give you advice. People love to give advice, so that's great. Good, I love that a lot. Let's talk now about. Let's jump gears to. Um, the importance of like a habit or a routine, which I know plays a big part in all this. And how does somebody get into those good habits? What do you recommend?
Totally. So just reflecting again on my husband's experience in the military, you're given routines, right? And you're given habits. Some you probably love, some you probably resent. Well, the cool thing is when you get out, you get to pick your habits and routines.
Yeah.
You can have a morning routine that looks however you want it to look. So I say you just think about it. Okay, so what are some practices that I like? Some great places to start would be in the morning, having a morning routine and an evening routine. I always recommend people start their morning with either meditation or prayer, whatever resonates with you. It's just getting your mind into a great mindset and connecting to something that feels good for you. There's tons of free meditations on YouTube. It's very simple. I'm sure if you have a pastor or a church or something that you go to, you can find some from them as well.
Yeah.
So first start up in the morning, at least 10 minutes. Give yourself 10 minutes. You're rewiring your brain for action, for positivity, for manifestation, for growth. Second would be some kind of movement if you can. If you can move your body, wonderful. A run, a walk, yoga flow, weightlifting, whatever. Trying to limit caffeine. So we all wake up in the morning, we grab the cup of coffee. What we do is we're raising our cortisol levels and it's making us in fight or flight all day and stressed out, right? So maybe giving yourself 90 minutes or so, having a cup of coffee, eating some sort of breakfast, and then starting your day. Right. And I don't know the statistics, Jordy. Somebody somewhere listening probably does, but it is statistically proven that people who have a morning routine achieve more success in their careers. They have overall healthier mental health and better relationships with the people in their lives because you're waking up once to the chaos of the world and then once to yourself. And gratitude's a great thing. So pick some practices, find a wellness blogger or Instagram account or something that supports you. Take notes on what they're doing. Morning routine and then evening routine. So an evening routine can look something like having family dinner every night with your kids or your spouse or even yourself, right? Cooking a nice meal. Taking a shower can be an evening routine. So yeah, I think it's
I,
just
lo- I love it. Did you ever read the book? I can't forget. I know I'm going to screw up the name. The 5 a.m. Club or something like that.
I
You
didn't
know
read
what I'm talking
that,
about?
but I did read the Compound Effect, which is a little
The
bit more.
compound, yes. Like it just encouraging people, just hey, get up an hour earlier and just like win that morning. Like start out with the stuff you said, the meditation. I try to do that. I try to do some sort of exercise in the morning and sit there for 5 or 10 minutes, and I'll listen to I like Yoga by Adrian. You ever
Yeah,
hear
she's so good.
do
Yeah.
that stuff in the morning, and and then the gratitude, all those, it's such good things. We got one of our viewers, Brandon Gresham. Welcome, buddy. He wants to know, what do you recommend breathing wise? Are there any breathing techniques? I know is a big part of meditation, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
So one breathing technique that works for most people, unless you're pregnant, is Wim Hof. So I don't know if anybody's heard of Wim Hof method. I found a lot of like my male clients and my male friends just tend to like it more than the women, but that's not always true. Wim Hof is a breathing technique that helps like boost your immune system and also helps raise your energy levels for the day. He has a free, Wim Hof is the guy's name. He's a breathwork instructor, and he actually has a free app too. It's WIM space HOFF. So basically, it's a breathwork technique that combines breath holds. So you will like inhale. Actually, we can do it together right now if you
Yeah,
want.
go for it. Let's do it.
Okay. I have to say, I'm not certified by Wim Hof to teach this, but we're going to do it. So you're just going to take a big inhale. And then you're only going to exhale. So it's going to sound something like this. So you're exhaling like short exhales, short little bursts, like
Out of your nose or mouth? What were you doing? I couldn't.
out of your mouth.
Mouth. Okay.
Yeah. So it's going to be like inhale, and then you're just only exhaling out of your mouth, like short exhales, like. You would pause. That you would do it a lot longer. It's like a minute. Then you would hold your breath at the bottom of your exhale for a minute.
Oh my gosh.
And then you take a big inhale, and you hold it, and you do it again. So that's a practice you can do. Some people like to do that with an ice bath or a cold shower after, but it's not mandatory. So you might see that's the kind of breath work you see people on Instagram doing the ice baths with.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great
minute. A minute's enough.
So that breathwork practice would be at least 5 minutes in total.
And what does that do? What does that do? Like to my body? Like what does that slow my heart rate down? What does it clears my mind?
It increases your circulation in your body. It actually releases a chemical in your brain, a very, very, very small amount of this chemical in your brain that gets released when you die that actually helps you feel peaceful. So it releases a chemical in your brain that helps you feel peaceful and tranquil. It increases the circulation in your body. It boosts your metabolism, and it helps clear your mental state.
That's awesome. And for 5 minutes, give it a shot. To try this stuff. I was always skeptical about meditation and yoga and breathing, and I started doing it, and I actually really like it. So I'm glad that you're recommending this stuff too. That's good.
Totally. And if you're new to it, I always recommend finding a workshop in your area. Find a breathwork class. They're usually pretty inexpensive, and the teacher will show you like there's so many different kinds of breath that you can do.
And just find one that you like that works for you, because there's so many choices. That's great. Talk about one of my favorite subjects is manifestation, and I know you specialize in that as well with your clients. And talk a little bit about what is that, first of all. How does somebody get started? How do they stick to a plan, and how do they do that?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, manifestation is so cool. We have this gift as people to be able to create our realities, right? To make changes in your life. You might be thinking, if you're in a really low spot, well, how the heck am I ever going to get out of this? There's one way you can get out of it is something called raising your vibration. So what that means is we are all operating on a vibrational frequency. If you want to nerd out over this, Google David Hawkins scale of consciousness. So every emotion that we have as a human has a vibrational frequency attached to it. And basically what that means is there's a certain speed that emotion can travel in space. And the higher vibrational emotions, which are like love, happiness, peace, confidence, they move more quickly, which means that something that you want can come into your life more easily. The lower emotions are guilt, shame, greed, jealousy. So the first step in manifestation is get your energy right, get your emotions in check, right? It's okay to feel jealous if you're on Instagram and some guy who just got a yacht and you want a yacht. Feel the jealousy for a minute. But how can you move into a place of joy and say, wow, that guy just bought a yacht? That means that I can do that too.
Yeah.
We did something that I can either learn how to do myself or be inspired by to get the yacht myself. So the step one is get your energy right. Step two is figure out what you want. Let yourself play in that. Like, we don't daydream as adults anymore. There's no like, what do you want to be when you grow up? So think about some things that you want. Like, I want to get married was one of mine. I want to start a business was one of mine. I want to lose weight was one of mine. Whatever it is. And write about it. This is a practice called scripting. Have you heard of this?
Yeah. Tell everyone.
So get a journal. You can do this if you want to type it, it's fine, but I highly recommend pen to paper. Get a journal and you're going to write your life in first person present tense as if it's already happening. So with my example, I wake up every morning with the love of my life. We are newly married. I lost 50 pounds. I feel so confident in my body and my business is doing great. I just made $1 million in sales and I live in Key West, whatever. Right. So write out, speak those things out into existence. I would recommend doing that every day. You don't have to, but do it every day.
Reading it every day or writing new ones?
You can write new ones if you want. And you'd be surprised at how specific. The more specific, the better. I'll tell you all a story. This was before I met my husband, but I wrote, I'm in a relationship with the love of my life. He is tall, creative, and curious about my business. And which my husband is all those things, but it wasn't him. I went on a first date with someone else, and he was 6'7", and he was a photographer, and he kept asking me questions about my business. And I said, "That's great, thank you for asking." And he said, "I'm really curious about your business." That night I went home, I read my journal, I saw what I wrote. I wasn't specific enough because I should have put more qualities than my husband has and that we were going to get married. But it was really cool to get to see that manifestation in real life. So it does work. And lastly, with manifestation, like, don't be afraid to share what you want with other people. And if the people in your environment aren't supporting that, it's okay to change your environment too. Like, find some friends that are like really uplifting and encouraging. Because the more like other people's energy can amplify your manifestation.
Yeah. What do you feel? What's your take on like printing out pictures of some of these things that you want in your life and putting them in the bathroom mirror so you see them when you wake up? Or
I wish I could show you my desktop because my laptop background is a vision board. And so many things have come to life on that vision board. When I was a student at the school that I now work for, I put their logo on my vision board. I work for them now. I put a turquoise couch on my vision board. One of my good girlfriends sold me her turquoise couch for like $100. The one on my vision board was $6,000. There's a baby on my vision board. We're expecting. There's a dog on my vision board. My husband had 2 dogs when I met him. We have them together. There's an outdoor wedding on my vision board under a tree, and we got married under a tree.
Under a tree. Oh my gosh.
So I think that's a wonderful thing.
Yeah.
You're creative, and it's something you can look at. Oprah just says you shouldn't look at it every day.
Oh, she does want you to look at it. I'm a big fan of this guy, Earl Nightingale. He's sort of an old time, one of these motivational type guys. Anyway, but he strongly believes in the same thing. Like, we become what we think about all day long. So you can think that you're, a low paid guy who's miserable in your job and you're never going to find a better one all day long, or you can think about more positive things of what you want. And it's just like these things, they're attracted to you when you start thinking about them. And like you said, talking about them in the present tense, I love that. I think that's brilliant. Jessica, can you now talk, if somebody wants to work with you as a client, what can they do? Where can they learn more about you? Because you are an absolutely amazing person. I can't recommend you enough to our audience to please check her out. And if you have an opportunity to join any of your coaching sessions or classes, I would highly recommend. So tell everyone where they can find you.
Sure. Well, I would absolutely love that. So you guys can find me on all social media platforms at Jessica Love. My username is @_XO Jessica Love. I'm actually teaching a free masterclass on how to cultivate real authentic confidence tomorrow night. So if it's something that you're interested in, the link is in my bio. You can also visit my website. It's still under my maiden name. It's jessicawinans.com. It's also in my LinkedIn, so you can find it there. Maybe we can put it somewhere in the show notes if that's cool.
Of course.
And yeah, I offer free hour-long coaching sessions to all new clients because I feel that this is something that is easier to be experienced. It's something that you need to experience, versus me explaining it and getting all technical about psychosynthesis or whatever. So, my invitation is if you have any curiosity at all, book a free session with me. We meet on Zoom. I'm happy to connect with you. And just know that that's a big step. Reaching out to a coach or a guide is a big step in your personal development journey. And I would love to work with you.
Oh, you have a chance to talk to her for an hour. You're going to come away, I'm sure, with some tips, some suggestions specific to you, and then you can decide if you want to proceed. I love the fact too that your vision board was you were looking for love, and then you married a guy who's got the last name Love.
Yeah. Well, actually, his last name, we picked our last name together.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I don't want to.
Nobody needs to know that. Okay, I love that. Why do we have to stick with these names we were given?
Right.
Make up your own. I love it. You got the perfect name for what you do. Jessica, you are amazing. I can't thank you enough for sharing all this great advice. Thank you, everyone, for listening who was on. And please reach out to Jessica on social media. Make sure to tag us tomorrow for your session tomorrow night, and we can repost that for you and hopefully drive some attendance for you. But it was just an honor to talk to you today. And thank you for the great work you're doing for the military community. We appreciate that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you all for watching.
You got it.
Okay. Bye.